Hello friends, I am your maths faculty of QLS Academy. Today we are going to learn about data handling. I hope you will enjoy learning, so let's start today's session. Friends, in our day-to-day life, you might have come across various informations such as mark scored by a student in exams, height or weight of a person, distance traveled by any particular vehicles, run made by a batsman in a cricket match, etc. All information collected in the above examples can be called as data. So, in simple words, a systematic records of facts or different values of a quantity is called a data. Representation of data in a visual manner is known as graphical presentation, or simply we can call it graph. So now let us study about different types of graph in detail. The first one is pictograph. It is simply the pictorial representation of data using symbols. Pictogram is mostly used by business and industrial organizations to represent their data. For example, the table given below represents a pictogram of different fruits. Here you can see banana, apple and cherries are different types of fruits. The second one is bar graph. A bar graph is a pictorial representation of data in which rectangular bars of uniform width are drawn with equal spacing between them on one axis. Usually that axis is x-axis. The value of variable is shown on the other axis, that is y-axis. The height of the bars, are proportional to the values they represent. For example, the bar graph here represents the number of cars sold in a week. Here x-axis represents the color of the cars, while y-axis represents the number of cars sold. As you can see in the given figure, you can clearly see. The third one is double bar graph. Now, what is double bar graph? It is similar to that of bar graph, showing two sets of data simultaneously. It is mostly useful for the comparison of data. If you look at the graph given below carefully, you will see two different sets of data, that is marks scored by students in their half-yearly and quarterly exams are represented in a single graph. Here you can see on the x-axis there are students and y-axis there are the marks. Now, organization of data. Data mostly available to us is in form of very unorganized form, that is raw data. After collection of data, it is necessary to represent data in very precise manner, so it is easily understood. For example, if we ask a group of students about their favorite color, the student answered red, yellow, orange, red and etc. and so on. By looking at the data, it cannot be said that which is the most liked color and which is the least. So, it is necessary to arrange the data in a table using tally marks. The number of tallies before each color gives the number of students who likes that particular color. This is known as frequency of the subject. So, frequency is defined as the number of time a particular entry occurs. The table made is known as frequency distribution table. It gives the number of time entry occurs. Now we will study what is grouping of data. Sometimes data is very huge and it is not easy to create frequency distribution table. Also, there will be a lot of categories, so it will be difficult to distinguish. Let's understand with an example. A class of 50 students was given biology test of maximum mark 60. Here is the test score of the student. 20, 21, 22, 22 and etc. are given. You can see here the data. If we draw the frequency distribution based on individual marks, it will be very difficult to understand the data. So, for convenience, we can group the marks in equal intervals and draw frequency distribution table as you can see. Class marks and frequency are given. For the class mark 20 to 25, frequency is 5. When class mark is 25 to 30, the frequency is 12. So here you can see in the table, there is class marks and frequency is given. The above table is called grouped frequency distribution. 20 to 25 and 25 to 30 are called class intervals. In 20 to 25 class interval, 20 is called the lower class limit and 25 is called the upper class limit. So, from the above table, we understood that a table that shows the frequency of groups of values in a given data is called a group frequency distribution table. Grouping done to group the values in the given data is called class interval. The lower values in a class is called lower class limit. The higher value in a class is called the upper class limit. This difference between the upper class limit and lower class limit is called width, or we can say size of the class interval. Now, let us see another type of graph that has no space between them, known as histogram. Usually, grouped data is represented using histogram. A histogram is a graphical representation of data like a bar graph. It has, number 1, class interval represents on the horizontal axis. Second is, there is no gap between bars as there is no difference between the class intervals. Now, here you can see the double histograms. Here you can see, for example, frequency table of age of different pupils. The following histogram can be formed as shown. The class intervals represent on horizontal axis. Height of bars represents the number of data items, hence the frequency. Now we will study pie charts. Pie charts are another type of data represented in circular form. यानी pie charts वो होती है जिनको हम circular form में represent कर सकते हैं. It shows proportions and percentage between categories by dividing a circle into proportional segments. Each segment represents a proportion of each category, while the full circle represents the total sum of all the data equals to 100%. For example, in the above graph, the proportion of the time spent by student during a day is given. Sleep for 8 hours, school for 6 hours, homework for 4 hours, play for 4 hours, and for other activities 2 hours are allotted. Now, let us draw pie charts for the data that has been provided. We know that sum of total hours spent by student is 24. Here you can see that. Now we need to find fraction of each activity with respect to whole day and also the angle subtended by that activity to draw the pie chart. For finding out the fraction for each activity, we need to divide the time spent in a particular activity by total time spent. Let us say time spent in sleeping is 8 hours. So, we will divide 8 by 24 as sum of total time is 24 hours. On dividing 8 by 24, the fraction comes out to be 1 by 3. Similarly, the fraction for school will be 1 by 4. This is how you can calculate the fraction for rest of activities. Now, to find out angles subtended by each activity to draw pie chart, we need to simply multiply the particular fraction obtained by 360 degrees. Since we know that the total angle at the center of the circle is 360 degrees. So, the fraction obtained for the time spent in sleeping is 1 by 3. So, we will multiply the fraction 1 by 3 to 360 degrees and that's come out to be 120 degrees. Likewise, the angle can be calculated for any activity of the data that has been provided. Now, to draw pie chart, follow the below instructions. What are the instructions? The first is draw a circle with any convenient radius. Mark its center O and radius OA. The second point is start with one activity. The angle of sector for sleep is 120 degrees. Use the protractor to draw angle 120 degrees. The third point is continue marking the remaining sectors, and then you will get the pie chart ready. So student, to conclude this session, we learn about data and representation of data in different forms. I hope you enjoy learning this session. If you have any further doubt or query, please go through the following link. Thank you.